Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 245. My name's Adam Patterson. Joining me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw. How are you, Kevin?
Better.
How about this weather? I'm assuming that it's the same in your area where it's 70 degrees one day, the next day it's like 30, and then yesterday it was 20 here.
Yeah.
It's
Did
stupid.
you get snow?
No, actually we didn't.
Well, yeah, we got snow.
It was
It was like 72, and then it dropped down to 30, and then it snowed.
I don't understand what's happening.
All my bulbs are up. All my flowers are up. Like all my trees have buds on them.
Yeah, and then they all die.
And then they all die.
What's happening to this world that we live in?
I'm kind of hoping it's the end of time. So that'd be kind of cool.
It seems like we're heading that direction for sure. This week on the show, we have two reviews lined up for you, with the Mo Brothers' latest martial arts action flick, Headshot, alongside Onur Tukel's comedy Catfight. We'll also be going over some we've been watching on the watch list, Blu-ray releases, movie predictions, VOD releases, all of that fun stuff, including my impressions of Logan. Remember, you can join in on the conversation by sending us an email, podcast@filmpulse.net, or sending us a tweet at filmpulsenet. One thing that, so we recorded last Sunday before the Oscars happened. The Oscars did happen. I don't think there's any reason to get into the whole Best Picture debacle, because that's been talked about to death.
That was funny.
I did get to witness it live, and it was really funny because I was updating our post as it was happening. So as the winners were coming up, I was updating the post immediately. So they announced La La Land as the winner. So I'm updating the list, and my wife was like, "Something's going on. Something's happening here." Because I was looking away from the TV, and so I look at the TV, and there's all this kerfuffle happening on stage, and I was like, "What is happening? It looks like there is something happening." And then they said it was Moonlight. It's like, oh my god, that has to be the worst Oscar flub in history.
Yeah, easily. And it was just funny because you could tell Warren Beatty was like,
He didn't know what was going on. He was so confused.
And Faye Dunaway's just like, say it. Just say it. He's like,
Because it says Emma Stone. He's looking at a piece of paper that says Emma Stone, La La Land. He's like, this doesn't seem right.
It would have been better if that's what he announced. If he just announced the Best Picture winner is Emma Stone.
He thought that was the name of the movie. That would be funny. I mean, I felt bad for Warren Beatty because at first he was getting blamed for it. They were like, "Yeah, he fucked it up," and it's like, no, clearly he didn't.
No, because you could tell he knew something was up, and then Faye Dunaway's just like, "La La Land."
They thought she thought he was messing around.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people probably thought that he was joking around, but
also at that point, just be like, I don't know if this is right. Just say
that'd be
that
so funny. This doesn't seem like the right thing.
Oh God.
So, what were your thoughts on the winners overall? So, La La Land didn't win Best Picture, but it did win quite a few awards, including Best Director, Best Actress, Best Original Score, Best Song, Best Production Design, Best Cinematography.
Yeah, it seemed to win a lot. I was just really happy about Moonlight winning.
Yeah, so was I.
That's crazy.
That is Moonlight is now the least expensive movie to ever win Best Picture, because it only cost, I think it was $1.4 million or something to make it. So it was the cheapest movie ever to win Best Picture. So that's pretty cool. I was okay with most of the results. Cinematography, obviously, is a little bummed out about, because I also wanted Bradford Young to win that. I was okay with Manchester by the Sea getting original screenplay. I was okay with Casey Affleck getting Best Actor.
I did like Salesman winning.
Mm-hmm. I kind of wanted Tony Erdmann to win, but that's okay. Overall, I didn't think it was that bad of an Oscar. You know, like sometimes it just feels like such a train wreck at the Oscars. Just the painful, awkward speeches and the dumb little skits and interludes they do. But it felt I was pretty much okay with everything this year. I
I
mean,
just
it was still entirely too long. It was like
oh yeah,
3.5 hours
oh
long
yeah.
or whatever. It's like, come
I,
on.
I think I watched like 5 minutes of it. I popped it on, and it was at the point where they parachuted candy from the ceiling. And I was just like, nope, this is fucking stupid.
That was stupid. They did that like 3 or 4 times.
It's just like it's bad enough that you guys have this circle jerk that just like pat each other on the back and shit, and then you're like, close your eyes. We're gonna drop parachute candy down to you. It's like, give me a break.
Yeah,
Just give yourself the awards and go home.
I wish they didn't do all of that extra stuff there because it was
Yeah,
kind of
they're just trying to be too cute. And then also, I don't understand Jimmy Kimmel. I don't understand how that guy has a career. It just blows my mind.
the Man Show. Remember the Man Show?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that's all I can think of. It's like from that to where he is now. Like, who let that happen?
I guess people like him. I don't know.
I've never met anyone that liked Jimmy Kimmel. I've never heard anyone say those words out loud. It's a huge conspiracy.
I wouldn't say I like him, but I also don't really have an opinion on him.
Well, that's the thing that I hate about him. He went from being like I didn't like him on the Man Show. I hated that show.
well, that show's stupid.
But then it's like he completely erased like any personality that he had, and he didn't have much to begin with. And now he's just this like completely inoffensive, safe white person. It's so confusing to me.
Hmm. They need to just bring back Win Ben Stein's money.
That's right. He did that too.
Yeah, he did that.
Oh my god. What the fuck?
It's almost like Chris Hardwick. Like I don't get Chris Hardwick and why people are like him so much.
There's just wow. Mm, 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 mm.
Yeah. All right, so that's the Oscars. Another one in the books.
Way to go. Good job, guys.
Uh, I'll be posting an interview this week I did with Matt Johnson, director of Operation Avalanche and the currently running Nirvana the band the show on Viceland. And I asked him about the Oscars, and he's like, I didn't watch it.
Oh.
He's not an award show guy. I mean, the only reason I watched it was so that I could get the list up to date on the site.
Yeah.
It's really out of obligation at this point. All right, let's talk about our first movie of the day. I was thinking we could go with Catfight.
Catfight.
This is written and directed by Onur Tukel. I have a synopsis here. The rivalry between two former college friends comes to a head when they both attend the same glamorous event. The stars Sandra Oh and Anne Heche. Alicia Silverstone's in there too.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Silverstone comeback of 2017.
I'm telling you, this is where it's all starts right here.
And she did a good job in this movie. She was good. I mean, she didn't have a very meaty role, but she was funny in it. Definitely, especially that baby shower scene.
That was one of the better scenes.
So you have a review for this up on the site right now. So I'll start things off. Catfight. I liked Catfight. I like all of Onur Tukel's movies. I've seen, I think, almost all of his stuff. And I think that this one is I think it's the biggest movie that he's made thus far. That isn't to say it's like some giant production, but it looks like it has a bigger budget. It's just bigger in scope too. So you have these two women who knew each other in college. They're friends in college, and one of them is married to Sandra Oh's character is married to this rich business guy, and they are attending this function, this gala, and Heche is kind of this struggling artist, and she's helping out her girlfriend, played by Alicia Silverstone, with catering. They meet each other. They get into like a little bit of a verbal argument about the past, and then it turns into a fight, a cat fight, as it were.
Full on.
It ends up putting Sandra Oh in a coma for 2 years, and when she wakes up, she discovers that she has nothing. And this is where I mean this is a
I was,
dark comedy.
yeah,
This
I was
is
not expecting the whole coma thing.
this is a dark comedy. She wakes up and she discovers. Should I? I don't know if this. Should I say it? Is it a spoiler?
Uh, I don't. I kind of want to say that it is.
Okay. We'll
Because I would,
just.
for me, I don't know how it was for you, but there was that initial, like when that happens and you kind of find out where she's at now. It's just like, oh shit,
Okay.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I won't say it. She wakes up and realizes she has nothing. I'll say that. And then as she struggles to um, get on her feet, she realizes that Anne Heche has become famous. She's become rich and famous in the art world and goes after her for basically ruining her life. And then sort of history sort of repeats itself with Anne Heche.
Yeah,
And it's basically just this epic battle between these two women. There were several things I liked about this. One was the parallels between their two lives. I loved how, one was she had everything and then she lost everything and then she had to build herself back up. And it was the same way with the other character. And it was just this kind of, they basically were the same person. They were both horrible people. Like they were both horrible, unlikable people.
one a little bit more so than the other.
I would say so. Yeah.
Because Anne Heche, man, whew,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, even when because when you're starting off, it was like Anne Heche didn't. She was struggling. She didn't have anything, but she was still a bitch. She was still horrible.
yeah, she's still
When
an
Sandra
awful
Oh
person.
lost everything, it humbled her. And with Anne Heche, it was like no, there was no humbling of her.
No, not at all. It was the fight scenes themselves. The first one in the stairwell. It's like, oh shit, this is serious. Like they're not cat fights.
No, no,
This
no.
is just all out, just punching each other in the face,
Yeah,
back and
this is the
forth,
real deal.
back and forth. Just and I love that the sound effects for the punches being landed is just so ridiculous. They're so exaggerated that they are, perhaps two of the toughest people in the world, just destroying each other's faces. And they essentially endure a lot of abuse. But like the first one, okay, yeah, it's great and everything. Second fight, much of the same. And then even the third fight, much of the same. It's just like there's no defense from either one of these two.
No.
They're just like punch me in the face.
Yeah.
I'll punch you in the
Yeah,
face.
there's no blocking.
And by the third time when they're fighting, it's just to me it was just kind of bland.
It was. Yeah, I'll
It's
agree
like
with that.
it's just like okay, we're gonna do this again for the next, kind of like looking at my watch.
Yeah,
Like,
because
okay, got another 5 minutes of this.
because he really it seems like he really wanted to accentuate the fights. I mean that's like the big thing is the fighting, and they were very long. Like the fight scenes are really long, and I agree it did get kind of old after a while, especially by the third one. By the third one, you're just like okay,
Yeah,
I know where we're going with this. Let's let's wrap it up. Let's just speed it up a little bit. I liked how the final blow on the first two fights wasn't done by either of them directly.
yeah,
I liked how it was something else that caused the final knockout. I thought that was interesting, and one of the big things that kind of surprised me was the whole interjection of the war that was happening in this movie.
yeah,
So this takes place in some sort of like alternate history, or maybe it's like a near future type situation where they're both profiting off this impending war, and the fact that 2 years it jumps ahead by 2 years twice. You get to see like the outcome of that. Whereas at the beginning of the movie, there was a new president coming in, and this president was getting ready to go to war, and Sandra Oh's husband, I guess, was his company cleaned up countries after wars, like debris cleanup and stuff.
yeah.
So they were going to be making a ton of money off this war. And then when Anne Heche became, you jump ahead 2 years and you're in the middle of the war. Anne Heche becomes famous because the style of her paintings are very grim and kind of dystopian and depressing and dark. And that's where the country was at, because in the movie they reinstate the draft and
Yeah.
there's, tons of American soldiers dying, and it was just the outlook on the country was very grim. So she profited off of the war too. I thought that that was kind of an interesting dynamic to add into the movie.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too, but I do think that it's he's just entirely too broad with it, where it's just like the war, and then feel it, and especially with the late night talk show that they were
Bring out the fart machine.
yeah, it was always the fart machine, and there's always this discussion of the threat level stuff. So to me, this felt like a Bush era film, which I again, like I said in my review, I don't know if that's kind of what he's saying, that it's kind of cyclical and it kind of history repeating itself and everything. But I don't know, just that portion of it with tying their fighting and making their wealth and stuff off of the war and just how the war affects them. To me, it was just too broad.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. It didn't
It's
seem like
like,
there was much of a pointed statement to make there, but it did
yeah,
feel more of like kind of a broad statement.
yeah, it just kind of felt to me that after a while, it just kind of felt like an excuse to have these two just beat the shit out of each other, which again becomes kind of bland after a while. I mean, I enjoyed myself to a certain extent, but I definitely don't think this is one of his strongest films.
No, I don't think so. I think applesauce is probably.
Which I mean, that's he throws in that on the back of the that magazine.
Mhm.
He has the applesauce on the back there, and then all the artwork that's used in the movie is his real life artwork that he
Mhm.
does. So he does get himself in there. But
That that
it was odd to watch a Tuchel movie where he's not on screen
Well, and that's
telling
the
you.
thing. Like, I kind of missed him. Like, the thing I like so much about his movies is him. Like, he's a really funny character, and I kind of missed him in this.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that.
Even like a little cameo would have been nice.
Just get a cameo in there.
Although I did like the cameo from Titus.
Yes,
I,
he was good, and Dylan Baker I thought was great too as the doctor.
yeah,
He doesn't have a lot to do, but just his deadpan delivery.
yeah. I always like Dylan Baker.
Dylan Baker he's underrated.
I agree.
Just throw that out there.
I mean, Happiness alone should have put him on the map.
Yeah, really.
Well, at any rate,
I mean,
I enjoyed it.
it's yeah. I mean, it's light fun.
It's actually dark fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's dark, but I
It's
mean in terms
I
of.
know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But
Yeah,
yeah, no, it's dark. It is extremely dark.
yeah, totally.
Which
The places that they go in this were some of the biggest surprises. It's like, oh my god, like this is horrible.
yeah,
You
but
don't.
at the same time, it's not entirely too surprising because it is like if you're familiar with Tuchel's work, it's kind of like you are kind of like that initial jolt where like, oh shit. But then you do kind of realize like, oh yeah, it's Tuchel. This is what he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a feeling.
Still,
I mean, I saw the trailer for this a while back, and I had a feeling that it was going to be definitely on the darker side of things. But just some of the things that happened to these women,
yeah,
still surprising to me.
yeah, yeah, I would definitely agree there.
All right. Any other thoughts? Catfight?
It's kind of just stupid fun,
Yeah,
stupid and enjoyable.
I would definitely recommend it. What are you gonna give Catfight out of 10?
I gave Catfight a 6.
I'm sitting at around 6 as well. It's worth a look.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I enjoyed it, but towards the end of the year, or even like a month from now, I doubt it's really going to be sticking with me.
Yeah, same here.
This is like a memorable 2017 film viewing experience.
Right. And I didn't mention the performances by Sandra and Anne Heche. I thought both were great. I thought Sandra Oh really did a great job.
Oh yeah, both of them did. Oh yeah,
So the performances were they should be noted because they were really really well done.
Yeah, and there was a lot more to it than then just them, those two beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's not completely mindless. They take the time to the characters are pretty well developed, and I like that they had this kind of backstory that it doesn't really reveal itself until later. So
Yeah,
you don't really know what the turmoil is between these two.
yeah, because these just when, when they initially meet, it's like, man, these two really hate each other,
Yeah, there's that
and
immediate tension there.
and it's like that time passing did not help at all.
Nope,
Like
old wounds.
neither one of these have grown up at all.
Now,
Right back to it.
would you call it deliciously funny?
Um, I no, I don't think anything's ever deliciously. I don't get that.
What about a movie like Chef? Would you call Chef deliciously funny? Did you see Chef?
I saw Chef.
Would you say it's deliciously funny? Because that's
No,
one
because
I might.
I still don't understand how it can be delicious in its humor. Like the funny aspects of the movie, I don't
I
think
want to
can be
devour the
delicious.
humor. I
Yeah,
want to
like,
devour its humor.
it's the same thing when people are like, "Oh, this sexy new design of this car." It's like it's a car. Like you don't like. I don't want to have sex with it. So to me, it cannot be sexy because sexy means that you would like to have sex with
No,
it.
sir, I do not want to make love to that car.
Yeah, like there's no electronics that I'm like, yeah, I want to fuck that. Like that's not a thing. I mean, for some people it might be.
For
I
some
don't
people,
know.
probably is, but yeah,
I'm sure there's a subreddit somewhere,
probably.
but I just don't understand how something can be deliciously anything outside of like,
Except a nice, like a
yeah, it's like
nice flambe.
yeah, a flambe or maybe a casserole. Who knows? That I can say, yeah, that's delicious.
All right, that's Catfight. Let's move on to Headshot. We got two one word titles here: Catfight and Headshot.
Yeah, compound words too. Watch
Nice.
out.
Yep. Look out. So this is directed by the Mo brothers, Kimo and Timo. I have a synopsis here. Uwais plays a young. I like how they start with Uwais. Like, are we? I mean, include his first name. You know what I mean? Like, why would you just start with his last name here?
Is he reached that level?
Yeah, I mean, just anyway. Iko Uwais plays a young man who washes ashore and an amnesiac with a serious head injury whose past comes back to haunt him shortly after being nursed back to health by a young doctor. Violence ensues. Sweet, sweet violence. That's what it says.
Oh god.
I don't know if that's the official synopsis or just one that was put on IMDb, but we're going to go with it. So I have a review for Headshot up on the site. Kevin, we'll start it with you. What'd you think of Headshot?
Oh man, this fucker is bloated. Good lord.
Uh,
Uh, and
I'm bloated.
when I went into this, I didn't know that this was the Mo brothers. And after a certain amount of time, I was like, this seems kind of familiar. And I was trying to figure out like what movie it reminded me of. And then, found out who it was. And then, I watched their other, well, I forget what the other movie was
Killers.
called. Was it Killers? Yeah. Which seemed to suffer from the same things.
Yeah.
The fight sequences in this one is much better.
Well, yeah,
Because-
with Killers, it was more of a horror movie more than
Yeah.
anything. It wasn't really like Killers it was a horror movie with action elements. This one is
Yeah.
just straight up martial arts
Straight up.
action.
Yeah, with some odd choices thrown in there. The stuff that, like, what I call the filler in an action movie, all the stuff that's not the action sequences. I'm not entirely sure what they were doing here. Just seems like they're trying a bit too much.
They were trying to
Like
yeah,
in between the fights, it's like everyone's here for the fights.
yeah,
Like, let's keep it simple.
right. And that's exactly what I said in my review. I thought that the action sequences were incredible. They're amazing, and it's worth seeing the movie just for those. But everything in between, I was just like, eh. Like I felt like the script was pretty weak. The only thing, the only thing that I thought script wise that was strong was the characters, like specifically the enemies. I like it when movies, action movies, have unique enemies where it's not just hordes of random dudes that are being thrown at the hero or the protagonist. I like it when there's like, mini bosses essentially. And
Yeah.
I thought that this had a really good team of bad guys for him to fight. And the main villain, I thought he was just so evil. Like he was just seemed like such an evil, despicable person that it made fighting him more satisfying.
Yeah.
Although I would say that at least in my opinion, that fight, the final fight with the main bad guy, was probably the least satisfying of all the fights. But yeah,
Yeah, I thought a couple of the fights actually were kind of eh.
I
I can't say that I was in love with all of them. I
I
mean, I
like
was pretty excited when they all started. I was like, yes, here we go. But there were a couple of them where I was kind of let down. Like, oh, that wasn't the choreography in that wasn't too great.
well, they use the shaky cam a little bit too much, and to me, whenever shaky cam is used, it's to hide,
Yeah.
what's
Well, it
what's
was
happening.
also it's just some really odd choices, like the progression of the fight. Like one in particular is like I think it might have been like the second to the last where he ends up fighting Rika,
Yeah, on the
who is
beach.
played by Hammer Girl,
Mm-hmm.
and they fight on the beach, and it's just like, okay, this guy Ishmael or Abdi, whatever you want, whatever his name is, he gets sliced like 7 times, like across the shin. He's getting his arm sliced. They're in salt water, so he's getting all that wounds, all this stuff, and he's just hanging in there. He's barely like at this point. I mean, the guy should be pretty much dead. Like it's ridiculous. But then he ends up like subduing her with like a simple kick to the face, and it's just like that. Like the guy gets stabbed how many times and slashed how many times, and he brings her down with a simple kick to the face.
Well,
Like
but
she couldn't handle one kick to the face.
he's like a
Yeah, but
superhero. This guy.
by all intents and purposes, all the other baddies are too. They all grew up the same.
Yep, that is true. That's a
And
good
when you're
point.
and all these fights, they're pretty much equal. Like he doesn't just destroy everybody. You know what I mean? Like they're pretty even. Like he gets the shit kicked out of him, but yes, he ends up winning
Yeah,
the
I mean
fights.
he
But
he
it's
destroys the no name people. He
yeah,
he destroys them, but yeah, all of the people like the soldiers that he was raised with, yeah, I'd say that they're on pretty much even ground.
yeah. And I mean the one guy, even the only I mean he kind of gets lucky and gets a shotgun. But I mean he was pretty much losing that one. Like they're all pretty much, even. He's getting out by like a very thin margin.
Well,
I,
also with that early fight with the shotgun, that was when he was still not really knowing who he was. So I think that his he was still trying to like recover his. He was still healing. He was still recovering his memory.
well, that was the other interesting thing is like he's doing that throughout, which I don't know exactly what they're trying to do here, where he's essentially has some like particles in his skull that causes him great pain if it gets hit, and he kind of like blacks out or whatever. And it happens in a number of times in fights, and it's like how I mean, you guys saw the X-rays, you know where his weak spot is, and you can tell that he's like he can barely function
Yeah,
if he gets hit in
aim
the
for the
head.
head.
Hit him in the head, man. But there were a couple of badass fights. That one where he's tied to the table, I thought that was pretty. That was inventive. That was creative to watch.
That was probably one of my favorite ones, especially because when that guy gets stabbed through the face with the machete, I think that I've never seen an injury like that before in a movie. How it like went up through like the side of his face like that. Like it didn't
Yeah,
go up through the middle because you always see it in movies where it goes up through the middle, through the head. But the fact that it like went up the side of his cheek, like through the skin,
yeah.
like that was pretty
That's
intense.
gross. That
That
was gross.
I mean that's one thing. This movie is extremely violent to the max. I mean, like the level of bloodshed in this movie is through the roof, and it's pretty effective. I mean, it worked for me. The one of my favorite fight scenes might be my favorite fight scene was on the bus. So like they're fighting on the bus. The bad guys get on this bus and kill everybody on the bus. So it's just stacked with dead bodies. And then he goes in and they start fighting on this cramped bus. And I thought that was a really cool location to fight, like on this really kind of confined space. And then that camera shot where it follows him through the window, I thought looked really. I thought that was really awesome looking.
Yeah, when he kind of does that dive roll out the back.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool how the camera was went through the window with him, and the fight scene with Rika I thought was really good too. I like the fact that it took place on the beach and it was like in the water and in the sand. He was like throwing sand at her, and I thought that that was a cool fight scene. And then the one in the forest was also cool with the guy with the glasses. He was a
Yeah,
badass.
yeah, he was. That was a great one. The Rika one, I didn't. I hate the way it ended though. It was
It
just
was
so.
yeah,
It was like, what?
a little bit of a wet
Like,
noodle there at the end.
especially because she's like, they make it a point of showing her like aim it the other way, and it's like,
I
if
think it
you're
was just
focusing on her,
I,
you
yeah.
you would know that she's not pointing it at you.
I think maybe it was just a reaction because he looked shocked, like afterwards, like when he looked and realized that he did that.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like if you were what, you would know that the gun's not pointed at you. She like pointed it
Yeah, it
away
wasn't
from you.
even. It wasn't like she
It's like,
she aimed it slightly off. I mean, she like completely turned her hand sideways.
yeah, it's like, uh, you know how guns work. I mean, it wasn't that severe of a head injury.
I think that it's hard not to watch this movie and not compare it to The Raid, and I think that that is another thing that works against it.
Well, yeah, and I think that, yeah, like you said, it's an inevitability, especially when you're watching the fight sequences and you're like, the choreography is just not as strong.
It's
It's not. It's just not as strong.
it's not. I will agree. They used a lot of the same crew from the Raid movies as well, and I mean, obviously, you have multiple actors from the Raid movies in this, and it feels like it just feels like kind of a knockoff, really, and it's terrible to say that because I liked the movie overall. I thought it was fine. I didn't as far as like the plot elements go, it was so basic. I mean, it was just like this is nothing we haven't seen before. So it was pretty generic as far as the storyline goes, but I thought the action really worked for me. And it's just unfortunate that because it's so similar to the Raid, it's like you can't not compare it. And the Raid and the Raid 2 are just so far superior that it kind of it makes this movie pale in comparison, and it's unfortunate because I think if the Raid didn't exist, if we were living in a world where some horrible existence where the Raid and the Raid 2 didn't exist, that this movie we'd be, really kind of singing its praises.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because on one hand, you don't want to do that because it is to a certain extent unfair,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you can't help but do it, especially when you're watching the fights and you're just like, I could just turn this off and put the raid on. Like, I could just watch the raid because it comes down to the fight sequences. Because, like we said numerous times, everything outside of the fight sequences is it's fluff. It's just filler.
Right, and that's I think something that I think that that is something worthy of a comparison because the Raid actually has a very good story, and I think that the Raid has a strong plot, both of them. And like, because I think that Gareth Evans was smart enough for the first Raid, he knew that people were going there for the action, so he was like, you know what, we're gonna keep the plot to a bare minimum, and we're just gonna make it nonstop
Yeah.
action.
And
Like,
I think in those two films, you're building up to the fights where you're kind of like building the anticipation and the excitement and stuff that when it finally kicks off, you're like, yes, here we go.
but
Fantastic. I love the way this is set up. This one, you're just kind of waiting
yeah,
for the next
because
one to show up. You're just like, come on, let's move it along. Right?
the way that this movie's structured, it's almost like a Jackie Chan movie or a Tony Jaa movie where you have this kind of reluctant hero who he doesn't want the violence that's happening to him. He just wants to, live his little beach life with his new girlfriend and just live a normal life, and the violence comes to him. It's thrust upon him. So he's kind of like the reluctant hero, whereas in the Raid movies, I mean, these are cops going in here. They know that the action's going to be happening, and they're looking for it. They're seeking it out. So I think like the story structure as a whole is more effective in the raid, because in this movie it's like, oh, he has amnesia and he doesn't remember his past life and all of this
Yeah,
stuff, and
which
it's like so those moments in between the action where he's trying to like develop his relationship with this girl and figure out who he is and all that stuff, it just fell flat.
yeah, it's just unnecessary, especially the amnesia stuff, because he really didn't utilize it for
No,
much.
because he like there was like the first the maybe the first fight scene where he was like, what is going on? But then like after that he pretty much immediately started remembering everything.
Yeah.
But also, do they even, maybe this is something I just missed, but do they even like do they even say why they shot him in the first place?
No, I don't think they do.
It's like,
I mean,
all
I
right.
think they kind of hinted at it where it's like she kind of said like if you make me choose, I'm gonna have to choose so and so. So I don't know if he was already like kind of on the outs, like he wanted to get out of this.
I mean,
He
that's what I
wasn't 100%
assumed,
on
but
board.
I didn't know for sure if he, because it seemed like him and Rika had a thing going on, and I didn't know if like the father figure guy wanted to kill him because of that, or I don't know.
I don't know, but they got an elaborate thing there out in the jungle by the water.
Yeah,
How
quite
do you
the
build all that shit?
quite the
Come on,
compound.
give me- what's he even doing it for?
I, I
That's the other funny thing is like he has this like whole team of this whole family that he's raised as assassins and shit, but like I don't even know what the guy does.
yeah. Well, there's that scene at the beginning where he goes and like they bust him out of prison, and then they like he takes over the from this other crime boss. So I guess that he's like
He's just selling.
dealing in drugs and guns,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
guess that I mean, I guess it's just a kind of a past, like a hobby for him to steal children and train them up to be
And
killers.
and I mean he apparently he invests a lot of time into these kids.
Yeah, like decades.
Yeah, that's
Because
a whole
because
lot of
when
investment.
he gets them like when they're like 7 8 years old.
Yeah, that's something else.
I don't know. It's one of these movies where I think if you think about it for too long, it just everything falls apart.
Well,
And
yeah,
I went into it just kind of excited for the action. I got some really solid action out of it, and that did it for me. That was enough for me
I
to go into it and have fun with the action.
I think my favorite thing is I forget who the guy's name when she was fighting the big guy in the police station,
Hmm.
and he did that where he put him kind of like in an arm bar and then jumped over the table and took
Yeah.
the arm with him.
Yeah.
That was wow. That
Yeah.
was something else.
Like I said in my review, there were a number of moments where it some of the things caused me to like audibly make noises, like guttural noises, like
Yeah, where you almost
oh,
feel it.
you know.
Yeah, there's like you get a twinge, you get like a phantom pain in your arm just thinking about it. It's just unfortunate you had to sit through so much fluff.
I think that yeah, I think that that's definitely an issue with the Mo Brothers movies, is that they try to develop everything way too much.
Just
I mean,
tighten up.
this movie is 2 hours long, and it's
Yeah,
just like okay,
just get in and get out.
it's a little. I mean, all they didn't even have to do so much of the stuff in this. They didn't have to do. You just have it be this team of assassins, this elite team of assassins trying to kill this one guy,
Yeah,
and he doesn't know why. Like that, you just keep it the bare minimum, and
keep it simple.
it works out because you can have like wave after wave, and then you have the whole kidnapping thing, and he has to go and find her and rescue her and the little girl, and it's like let's not do that. Like the whole kidnapping thing is so played out too.
Yeah, and why is she so invested in him?
Exactly, she doesn't even know this guy.
She just met him like a day ago.
I also thought that the whole Moby Dick thing was pretty
It's-
dumb.
yeah, that was something else.
Yeah. All right, Headshot. After reviewing it here, I feel like I scored it too high on my review. It's funny, like when I write out a review and then give it a score, a lot of times it's before I actually talk about it with anybody. And then talking through it, I
Yeah,
convinced
it's
myself like,
yeah,
okay,
it
this
changes.
and
Because sometimes when you're talking it out, sometimes you realize like you enjoyed it a bit more than you originally thought, and it's good, and it comes out of too is like speaking with someone else about it. It's like, oh yeah, that part I love that part, or yeah, that portion of the movie or that aspect of the movie, yeah, I forgot how great that was. You have someone else point it out, and it can go up, but at the same time, it can go the opposite way
yeah,
too, where you just kind of talk it through, and you're just like, you know what? I don't know if I really like that much about this film.
yeah. So I gave it a 6.5 in my review. I'd probably still give it like a 6 or a 5.5 or a 6.
Yeah, I think I'm about the same because now sitting here talking with you, I'm trying to like remember the fight scenes, and I don't remember much from them. Like I just didn't think they were that memorable.
And I think that again goes back to the raid where you have these fight scenes that are very similar in the raid, but they're done so much. They're not necessarily done better, but the way that they're presented and the kind of creativity that's utilized is more memorable. So,
Yeah.
at any rate, that's Headshot. That is playing in limited release right now. Let's move on and talk about something we've been watching on the watch list. I only have one movie this
Oh
week,
boy,
other than Logan. I'll talk about Logan first.
talk about
Oh, Logan, Logan, Logan. You should have seen Logan this weekend.
it. Is it good?
It is good. It is great.
Ooh,
It is it's surprisingly great. I mean, I was excited for it. I thought it was going to be good. I was interested like I mean, from the trailers, you're like this does not look like your typical X-Men movie. And several times throughout the movie I had to kind of remind myself like this is in the X-Men, movie canon. This is part of it. And it's just weird when you're hearing Patrick Stewart say fuck every 2 seconds. You're just like, oh, what? Okay, this is interesting. Um, the R rating thing, I think it was needed. I mean, it made some people will probably say it doesn't really matter, but to me, to make this R rated and to just embrace that rating and make it for adults, it just seemed like okay, this is what it needed to be from the beginning, because this is a guy who is so violent and so aggressive. He has claws that come out that shoot out of his hands, and he
it's not.
uses those claws to kill people. Now, nothing about that seems like it should be PG-13, and
No, because you know what calls do to people.
exactly. This is and also like Wolverine he's a gruff guy. He's not some like prim and proper dude. So yeah, he's gonna say fuck. He's gonna drop some f bombs here and there. He's gonna fuck some people up,
I would imagine.
and boy does he fuck people up in this. The the violence. I mean, they went with a hard R on this. Like the level of violence in this was so much more. I mean, I expected it to be pretty bloody, but some of the shit that happens in this movie, you're just like, holy crap. And the other thing is like violence with children too, like kids getting shot, kids like the girl in this that he's protecting. She there's like one scene where they shoot a harpoon through her chest.
Oh,
Because she's basically Wolverine's daughter, and she has the same healing powers, and she has claws as well. And boy, Ryan was on last week's Ryan Watches Movie was saying that he wants to see this to see the girl tear people up, and holy crap, does she tear people up? She destroys people in this. She's just slicing limbs off like it's nothing. But action aside, it was also a really really solid movie as far as the plot and everything. It was much more somber, much more serious than a lot of the other X-Men movies. It doesn't feel like a comic book movie at all. Like it's not. It's just very dark and very depressing in a lot of ways. I mean, this takes place 200 years in the future, or sorry, by the time this it takes place in 2029. Wolverine's like 200 years old at this point, so his healing isn't as effective. Basically he's rotting from the inside out. He's dying.
oh
So
boy.
he's not as fast, he's not as strong as he used to be. And Professor Xavier is basically going through dementia, which I thought was kind of a really interesting element to have. You know, if you know Professor X, he's like one of the strongest mutants in the world. He can control people with his mind. He can read your mind. He can do all kinds of crazy shit. He could probably kill everybody on the planet with just a thought. And to have somebody like that going through what appears to be dementia is a really interesting concept because he has these like seizures and it basically almost kills everybody every time it happens.
Damn.
So that was interesting too. Stephen Merchant was in this too, which I knew that he was in it, but I didn't really know what character he was playing because I didn't want to do too much research on this. But he plays Caliban, this guy who can like track mutants, but he's like an albino. If he gets in the sun, it burns him.
Mm.
And even he added a little bit of comedy to it, but not much, like not a whole lot at all. This is a very serious movie, and I thought it was fantastic. It was highly recommended, and I think it was probably the best X-Men movie ever.
Well, I guess that would extend to probably best Wolverine movie too.
I mean, I don't
Easily.
even know. Like when I think of superhero movies, I don't necessarily include this because when you see it, it's not really a superhero movie at all. It's this kind of road
Which
trip
is
movie. It's almost
good.
it's almost like Midnight Special where he's trying to protect this girl and get her to this location. So he's driving across the country while these government people are trying to track them down and capture
Yeah.
them.
And I think we kind of talked about this before, but when it comes to superhero movies, I mean, they've been kind of getting away with doing kind of the same thing for the last how many years.
Yeah,
So for you to say that it's not like that at all is a good thing because we really need to go somewhere else
I agree. I
with
completely agree.
like they become so formulaic.
As much as I like all the Marvel Studios stuff, I do agree that they have become formulaic. Even though I think that formula it still works for me personally because I find the movies to be very entertaining. This
Yeah.
movie is just like the polar opposite of that, and I don't mean. I think that it's important to note that they're not just frivolously going for the R rating and making it dark and gritty, like Zack Snyder's what he's doing with the DC stuff. Like this is not Batman v Superman where they're trying to make it all dark and gritty. Like this the way that this looks, like the visual fidelity of this movie is not that of any superhero movie that you've seen. Like it's like artfully done. And I think that it is from what I saw of the box office numbers, it's just it killed it at the box office this weekend. And I think that's a good sign too, because I was thinking about it. If they make any other Wolverine movies from here on out, or if Wolverine is in anything, it's probably going to be R rated and it's probably going to be for adults because this is the way it was meant to be from the beginning. But I think that a lot of people were nervous about making something that's violent and there's like
Yeah.
boobs in it and stuff like that, and it's definitely for adults. But the thing about it is these characters, the fan base for the characters has aged. We
Yeah,
grew
we're
up with
adults.
Wolverine, and now we're adults.
Give us adult Wolverine.
Yeah. I mean, you can still have like the cartoons and stuff, and make him more kid friendly in the cartoons, but to me, this is like the ultimate version of this. And as far as comic book movies go, I think that this is probably one of the best ones ever made.
Nice. What I watched wasn't as good as what Wolverine sounds like. I watched Sleeping Giant. This is from 2015, directed by Andrew Civadino. Oh man, this is a. I watched this on Netflix, right? And it got decent reviews, pretty good reviews actually. But immediately from the outset, it is extremely predictable. I mean, it essentially just maps out the entire narrative within, first handful of scenes. You know exactly how this is going to play out. And then you get to the end, and guess what? Doesn't surprise you. It's exactly what you thought it was going to be. And of course, it's one of those coming of age narratives, so that makes it even worse, at least for me, because it's coming of age. Knock that shit off. And it's just these kids, they're having this like summer vacation on this like on Lake Superior. And two of the kids are, well, the one kid is really bad. He's a terrible kid. He's like a personification of a pair of Jenko jeans. The other kid is his cousin, and he's kind of like in between. Like he does the bad stuff with his cousin, but he's also hanging out with this other kid that's like, he's a good kid. He family has money, and he's kind of just like kind of meekish and just kind of keeps to himself, and he's quiet. And but he kind of gets pulled into and all that good stuff. And it's just, it's so unbelievably predictable. And there's some really bizarre editing choices. Like there's this whole thing at the beginning where there's this giant rock that only two people have jumped off of, right? One guy died, the other guy lived, and he lives in a trailer and sells weed to kids and plays video games. So, but the kids think he's a legend because he jumped off of that thing. So obviously, these kids are going to jump off of that. Something bad's going to happen. Guess what? That's what happens. But they go to the guy's house. He's like, "Oh, we're going to go jump off." And the rich kid, the good kid, he's not with them at all. He's just not with them around at all anywhere to be seen. And he's just like, "We're going to go jump off this thing." And the legend guy's like, "I got a boat. Let's do it. Let's go." And then all of a sudden, we just cut to them riding in the boat, and the kid's there. And it's just like, where did he come from?
Yeah.
Did they just swing by and pick him up? Like, hey, we're going to jump off that thing. Like, there's so many times in this movie where that happens, where it just like it cuts to a different point in time and it just doesn't really make sense. Like there's a big gap missing. It just kind of throws you off. And I don't know if it's just, I mean, a part of it feels like it's just an aptitude, really, but it's just nothing works. The only slightly interesting thing is the goody two shoe kid. There's this throughout where they're kind of building this where you're thinking that he's going to come to the realization that he's gay because it seems as though he's in love with the one kid, and they kind of go down that route, and then they just leave it. Like they just let it dangle there. They don't come to a conclusion on it or anything. So that was the only thing that I was like, oh, that was interesting that they did that. But everything else is just trite and predictable.
I'm more interested in, like, this movie doesn't sound any worthwhile to me, but I'm more interested in this short film that this guy directed called We Ate the Children Last.
Okay.
Researchers discover a radical cure for digestive tract illnesses by transplanting pig organs into the human body. Medical miracle morphs into pop phenomenon as eating garbage explodes in popularity, but society may not be prepared for consequences more chilling and irreversible than a fleeting fad. That interests me. I have to try to find that.
It sounds so different than
Yeah.
what this is.
We Ate the Children Last.
Which this movie feels like, Play School's my first film. You know what I mean? Like it's everything that you've seen before. It's just like, okay, they're gonna come of age. All right.
Well, speaking of things you've seen before, I saw Don't Kill It. It's directed by Mike Mendez. This is the one with Dolph Lundgren where he plays a demon hunter. More than anything, I watched it just to figure out what the hell kind of gun that was that he was holding. Remember, we were trying to figure out what the hell that is. It's a net gun. It shoots a net.
Oh, that's kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, those like things on the end are like posts for the net.
Now, is the meshing of the net made of like piano wire or diamond edge?
Nope.
That when it shoots out with velocity, it actually cubes you.
No.
It just goes right through you and cubes you.
Nope. It's just regular rope.
But I wonder if there's a movie with that, because someone needs to make that a gun.
Hell yeah.
Because you'd be standing there and be like, oh shit, it's a net. And it kind of is, but it's not going to entrap you.
It's like a razor net.
It's just going to move through you. And now you're little tiny like beef stew cubes.
That would be interesting. Probably more interesting than this film. So Dolph Lundgren plays this demon hunter. There's this demon that gets set loose on this town, this little sleepy town in Mississippi. And the thing about it is if you kill it, so if the demon, it possesses a person, that person comes after you. If you kill it, it goes into you. The only way that it can like travel between bodies is if it gets killed by the next person. So Dolph Lundgren ends up in this town to try to capture this demon. And the thing is, they make him out to be this he's like aging, so he's been at it for a while, and they make him out to be this kind of expert demon hunter guy. He's got all these like trinkets and baubles and shit that he uses, that he has from his travels, but he's just so inept. Like if you look at the movie and you look back after it's over, it's like he fucked everything up. Like he was not a good demon hunter. He was not able to get this guy. He just kept escaping over and over again. You know, he has all these tools and stuff, but half of them don't work. And he was a terrible demon hunter. And the movie was poorly acted. The effects work is ridiculous. I didn't know if this was supposed to be a comedy or a horror movie or what, because they would cut to like this ridiculous, like gratuitous, over the top violence, and it was like, is it supposed to be funny? Is it supposed to be scary? Because the way that it was shot, it was almost like a trauma movie or one of these, like an Astron 6 movie where it's goofy, over the top, violent, you know?
Yeah.
And so I never really knew what they were going for with this. I was assuming it was supposed to be funny, but it wasn't, and I truly didn't enjoy anything about it. The only thing I enjoyed was the way that Dolph Lundgren devised to capture the demon was somewhat clever. Like, what he wanted to do was to have someone drink poison, then kill the demon, so that when the demon goes into the next person, that they essentially kill themselves. They die from the poison. That way, because nobody killed that person, the demon can't go into somebody else. So it was kind of clever, but it just, nothing about it was fun or enjoyable. So don't kill it. This is on VOD right now, but I can't recommend it. I like Dolph Lundgren, I really do. And his character was kind of cool, but the fact that he was just so bad at his job made it not made his, and plus his name was like Jebediah or something.
Nice.
So I was like, all right, this is not, it's terrible. I don't know what I was expecting with this. I thought it was going to be kind of fun. Lundgren playing a demon hunter, but there's just one demon. It felt like a lot like End of Days with Arnold,
yeah.
because he meets up with this girl who is like a descendant of an angel or something, but like that plot really doesn't go anywhere. Anyway, it's bad. It is bad. All right, let's talk about some predictions. Last week, Logan, you said 87, I said 86, actual 93.
Damn.
Yep, Logan's a popular one. Next week, we got Kong, Skull Island. This is a biggie.
It is a biggie.
It's a biggie in that friend of the show, Jordan Vogt Roberts, directed it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I think that's awesome.
It's insane.
Yeah. This movie looks really awesome. I'm very, very excited for it. I'm going to say 86 on that.
Let's say 72.
All right. What else do we have? Do we have any other wide releases next week? Doesn't look like it. Don't have too many wide releases next week. In limited release, we have Uncertain, My Scientology Movie, Raw, which I'm really excited about.
Hell yeah, finally.
Personal Shopper. That's the
Nice.
one with Kristen Stewart. I'm pretty excited about that one too. That one looks intriguing. That one's got me. That one's piqued my interest. The Sense of an Ending, The Other Half, The Ottoman Lieutenant, Betting on Zero. Next week on VOD on the 7th, that's Tuesday, we have Ghosts of Darkness, Burlesque, Heart of the Glitter Tribe. Heart of the Glitter Tribe. And then on the 10th, we have Brimstone. Heart of the Glitter Tribe. Blu-ray next week. We have, this is for Tuesday, March 7th. Got Always Shine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd recommend checking that one out. The Brand New Testament. I want to see that. Been meaning to see that forever.
Is that the one with the, like, Jesus comes back to, or God lives in Denmark or something like that?
Yeah, Belgium.
Yeah, Belgium.
We have Jackie, Moana. I haven't seen Jackie. I definitely would recommend Moana, which was a surprise because I wasn't interested in it at all. The Eyes of My Mother, Incarnate, Trespass Against Us, and that's pretty much it. What do we have on the old Criterion front next week?
We have one coming out on Criterion. That's 45 Years, which I kind of forgot about this movie. The one with Charlotte Rampling.
Another
2015.
contemporary release.
Yeah, which I forgot that I was extremely interested in this film. So
Heard nothing but good things.
exactly, interest is back up, peaked.
All
I'm
right.
gonna check that one out.
Cool. All right, that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. Make sure to follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. And if you have a minute, take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/FilmPulse. Consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber for just $1 a month. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.